There was a moment he couldn't explain it. Nothing was wrong. His life was stable. Everything looked fine. No major problems, no urgent issues. And yet, there was this feeling. Quiet, persistent, hard to describe. Like something was missing. Not physically, not clearly, just not there. He tried to ignore it, stay busy, distract himself, but it kept returning. And one day, he stopped avoiding it and asked himself a question he had never asked before. What exactly is missing? And that question changed everything. A sense of something missing is not always about external problems. Life can appear complete, stable, functional, and still feel incomplete. That is what makes this feeling so confusing for many people later in life. Because there is no crisis, no disaster, no obvious explanation. Everything continues normally on the surface. The bills are paid. The routines continue. The days pass quietly. And yet, inside the mind, something feels emotionally distant. After many years caring for older adults, I've noticed this experience becomes increasingly common once life grows quieter, especially after retirement, after major responsibilities slow down, after constant urgency disappears. Because when people are busy surviving, they often do not notice emotional emptiness immediately. But once life becomes still, the mind finally has room for reflection. And that reflection can reveal something unexpected. The man who experienced this quiet feeling did not think of himself as unhappy. Most mornings followed the same comfortable rhythm. Wake up, drink coffee, watch the news, handle small errands, return home, eat dinner, sleep. Nothing terrible, nothing chaotic, just predictable. One evening, he sat quietly in the living room while darkness slowly filled the windows around him. The television played softly nearby, but he barely noticed it. His thoughts drifted elsewhere, thinking, reflecting, trying to understand why life suddenly felt emotionally flat. Not painful, just dull, like he was moving through the days without truly feeling connected to them anymore. That realization unsettled him deeply, because many people spend decades creating stability. But stability alone does not automatically create meaning. Human beings need emotional engagement too. Purpose, curiosity, connection. A reason to feel mentally and emotionally awake inside daily life. Without those experiences, life can slowly become repetitive in a way the brain struggles to enjoy fully. This affects emotional energy more than many people realize. The nervous system responds strongly to novelty, engagement, social connection, purposeful activity. When daily life becomes too emotionally passive, people often begin experiencing subtle emptiness without understanding why. The next morning, he woke before sunrise, the bedroom dim and silent. He remained beneath the blanket for several moments, staring quietly toward the ceiling. The feeling returned again, that same quiet absence. Eventually, he sat slowly at the edge of the bed, then walked toward the window and opened the curtains. Bright morning sunlight entered the room softly, warm light stretching across the floorboards. And while standing there, he realized something important. He had spent years maintaining life successfully, without asking whether he still felt emotionally connected to it. That realization changed the way he viewed the problem entirely. Because meaning is not created automatically through routine. Meaning comes from involvement, attention, participation. And when those things quietly disappear, life can begin feeling emotionally incomplete, even when everything appears perfectly fine from the outside. The man who felt that quiet emptiness initially tried solving it the way many people do: distraction, more television, more background noise, more routine. He assumed staying busy would eventually remove the feeling. But it didn't. The emptiness remained quietly underneath everything. So gradually, he stopped trying to escape it, and instead, he became curious about it. One afternoon, he sat near the kitchen window with a cup of coffee cooling slowly beside him. Sunlight stretched gently across the table. The house, calm and quiet. And for the first time, he asked himself a direct question. What actually feels meaningful to me now? At first, he struggled to answer, which surprised him because he realized how long it had been since he truly reflected on his emotional life honestly. For years, life had been organized around responsibility, schedules, practical tasks, necessary routines. But meaning operates differently. Meaning is personal, emotional, often subtle. Sometimes it appears during very ordinary moments people barely notice. A conversation that feels genuine, helping someone unexpectedly, laughing naturally, walking outdoors while feeling mentally present, feeling useful, feeling connected. The man began paying attention to moments that created emotional warmth instead of emotional numbness. And gradually, patterns emerged. He noticed he felt better after meaningful conversations, more mentally awake after spending time outdoors beneath the sunlight, more emotionally grounded after helping family members with small things. One morning, he walked slowly through a nearby park after breakfast. The morning sunlight filtered softly through the trees, birds moving overhead. His walking pace relaxed and thoughtful. And while moving quietly along the path, he realized something deeply important. The moments that felt meaningful were rarely dramatic. They were moments where he felt emotionally involved in life again, not distracted from life, inside it. That realization changed how he approached his days. Instead of asking, "How do I stay busy?" he began asking, "What actually makes me feel engaged?" Some afternoons, he spent more time talking with people instead of rushing conversations. Other days, he revisited hobbies he abandoned years earlier, reading, writing small memories in a notebook, listening to music quietly during the evening instead of keeping constant television noise in the background. Simple things, but emotionally meaningful. And slowly, the feeling of absence became less intense because something important had changed. Not his entire life, but the way he was experiencing it. Ignoring the feeling that something is missing can quietly affect emotional health over time, because emotional emptiness rarely disappears completely when ignored. Instead, it slowly becomes background noise, a constant sense of incompleteness people adapt to gradually, especially later in life. The man recognized this one evening while lying awake after midnight, the bedroom dark and silent. He turned over slowly against the pillow, staring into the darkness, thinking, reflecting, and while reviewing the past several years honestly, he realized something painful. He had become highly efficient at routine. but emotionally disconnected from much of his daily experience. This happens more often than many people realize. These people become skilled at maintaining schedules, completing responsibilities, repeating familiar patterns, but eventually, routine without meaning creates emotional flatness, not dramatic suffering, something quieter, a loss of emotional aliveness. This affects motivation too. Curiosity decreases, energy decreases, days begin blending together, and gradually, people stop expecting life to feel deeply meaningful anymore. But the feeling of emptiness is not meaningless itself. It is a signal, an indication that emotional engagement requires attention, that something important inside the person has gone undernourished. This is why reflection matters so much. Because without reflection, people often continue repeating emotionally empty patterns automatically. The next morning, the man sat quietly beside the bedroom window after waking. Bright sunlight filled the room slowly, and while thinking carefully, he recognized something deeply important. The problem was not that life lacked activity. The problem was that too little of his activity felt personally meaningful anymore. That realization gave him clarity instead of fear. Because if emotional emptiness developed gradually, perhaps meaning could return gradually too. Addressing this feeling rarely requires dramatic reinvention. Most meaningful change begins quietly, through awareness, attention, small intentional choices repeated consistently. The man began approaching his days differently after that realization. Instead of filling time automatically, he started noticing what genuinely created emotional engagement. Some mornings, he walked longer outdoors beneath the morning sunlight before returning home. The rhythm of walking helped calm his thinking. Movement created mental clarity, space for reflection, and during those walks, he often noticed his mood improving naturally. Physical movement influences emotional state more than many people realize. Walking supports circulation, reduces stress hormones, improves mental focus, and emotionally, it reconnects people with their environment and daily experience. Other days, he focused more intentionally on connection, longer conversations, listening more carefully, sharing more honestly instead of responding automatically. He noticed meaningful interaction affected his emotional state immediately. Life felt warmer afterward, more alive. He also reintroduced activities that once gave him quiet fulfillment. Simple things: gardening, reading, writing memories in a notebook during calm evenings. Not because these activities solved every emotional problem instantly, because they created involvement, participation, presence, and meaning is created through repeated emotional participation in life. One afternoon, while helping his grandson repair something small in the garage, he suddenly noticed the emptiness was absent completely. He felt focused, useful, connected, present, and that moment taught him something powerful. Purpose is often experienced while participating meaningfully in life itself, not while endlessly thinking about it alone. People feel purpose through helping, creating, connecting, contributing, even in ordinary ways. And once he understood that, his relationship with daily life changed permanently. The feeling that something is missing is not weakness, it is not failure, and it is not something people should automatically ignore, because often that feeling is revealing something deeply important, that human beings need more than stability, more than routine, more than simply passing time. They need meaning, engagement, connection, a reason to feel emotionally involved with life again. The man eventually understood something that changed him permanently. Nothing major had been wrong with his life, but something essential had quietly faded. Presence, purpose, emotional participation. And once he began restoring those things intentionally, the emptiness inside him slowly changed. His days felt richer. His thinking felt clearer. Even ordinary routines felt more alive when approached consciously. One evening, he stood quietly beside the bedroom window before sleep. The night outside calm and dark. The house silent around him. And instead of feeling that familiar emptiness, he felt grounded, connected to the life he was actually living. And after many years caring for older adults, I believe this may be one of the most important truths about meaning and aging. People do not always suffer because life is falling apart. Sometimes, they suffer because life has become emotionally disconnected from what truly matters to them. Because sometimes, the difference between feeling empty and feeling fulfilled begins with one honest question. What still makes me feel alive inside?